Hello, and welcome to episode 3 of Let's Talk Sports with Avi. I'm your host, Avi Schoenberg, and today I have a couple guests from the Lantern staff joining me to talk about the Ohio State-Michigan game on Saturday. I'll be asking them questions about what this game means to both teams, as well as getting their predictions on how the game will go. Without further ado, let's talk about it. I'm here with senior writer Reilly Cahill and managing sports editor Jack Diwik. First off, how are you guys doing today?
Good. Thanks for having us on.
Yeah, great. Thanks, Avi.
Of course. So today we're going to be talking a little more about what the Michigan rivalry means, not just to Ohio State, but in general for both teams. First off, what do you think the implications are for both of these teams? We'll start off with OSU. I mean, compared to last year where Ohio State's coming off a national championship, they weren't able to beat Michigan. So what do you think Ohio State has, and what is the importance of this game? We'll start off with you, Jack.
Yeah, I think this game is, I think it's everything for Ohio State this year. I think if you ask a majority of diehard Ohio State fans, they would say they would rather beat Michigan than have another national championship. And I mean, that's what comes when you lose 4 straight to Michigan. The seniors on this Ohio State team don't have a pair of gold pants. They've never beat Michigan in their 4 years here at Ohio State. And I just think this game is the most important game of the season, no matter how far Ohio State goes, and that includes a national championship. So I think for Ryan Day, there's so much pressure on this game. Throughout the past, it hasn't gone his way, but I think he's looking to change the narrative this year.
Yeah, adding on to that, they haven't been to the Big Ten championship since 2019.
Yeah.
So, they beat Michigan, they're in, and they'll likely be playing Indiana, so that's another opportunity that this game presents for Ohio State.
Yeah. And let's flip it to Michigan now. I mean, for Michigan, you're going to this game 9-2. If you win this game at 10-2, you're looking very comfortable, not only just beating the number 1 team in the nation, but now looking at a college football playoff spot. And obviously, depending on how rivalry week goes, you never know who can make the Big Ten championship game. Teams such as Oregon can lose. Indiana might have 1 loss. USC can have 1 loss. So how does Michigan approach this game?
Yeah, I mean, I think Michigan's coming in riding high. I mean, why wouldn't you if you've won 4 years in a row? I think Michigan fans kind of just expect to come in, and it was kind of the same when Ohio State under Urban Meyer. It was almost an expectation where Ohio State would win the game against Michigan. It didn't even really, it was still obviously a rivalry, but the rivalry kind of simmered down a bit because Ohio State was so dominant. And I think it's swinging the other way right now. So for Michigan, I mean, they definitely have something to lose. If they lose, they probably won't be in the college football playoff, but there's still more of that feeling that Ohio State's the number 1 team in the country. Like, they're coming into their home, and there is kind of a feeling of, hey, we have nothing to lose, quote unquote, even though that a loss would mean they probably would not make the college football playoffs. But
Yeah, all the pressure for this game is on Ohio State. I mean, they've lost 4 straight, but on the flip side, Michigan, they're fighting for their college football playoff lives. Like, if they want any chance to get in, they'll need to beat the Buckeyes. So that's definitely something that they need to take care of as well. So pressure on both sides.
Of course. In terms of the actual game plan, what does each team have to do in order to win this game? We'll start off with Ohio State once again. Jack, what do you think Ohio State needs to do in order to beat Michigan this year and break that 4-year curse?
yeah, well, last year Ryan Day was pretty obvious, just tried to use the ground game to kind of dominate Michigan, which a lot of people are confused about because Michigan had Mason Graham, a top 5 draft pick in the middle. They had multiple first-rounders on the defense, and they did not really try to attack Michigan's secondary like I think a lot of people thought they would. It was super windy last year. It was cold. I checked the weather. I'm not sure yet, but it seems like it's going to be a sunny day, cold. And I think the main question going into this game is obviously the availability of Carnell Tate and Jeremiah Smith. If one of them play, if 2 of them play, I think Ohio State will air the ball out, just kind of like they've done to opponents all year this year, just run for 4 to 5 yards on 1st and 2nd down, utilize that play action, let Sang get out, let him use his legs a bit, and then throw it deep to one of those guys. But if they're not playing, I think Ohio State is going to have to lean on that run game a little bit against a Michigan run defense that is top 15 in the country. So I would expect Ohio State to air it out, but again, the availability of Carnell Tate and Jeremiah Smith is just such a pivotal point going into this game that is yet to be seen.
defensively, Ohio State needs to stop the ground game in Michigan. Obviously, little uncertainty with who's going to be in the backfield for them, but that's where they thrive in their offense, which is the rushing attack. So for Ohio State, they really need to contain the ground game to prevent any of those play action type plays or being able to stretch the ball downfield.
Yeah, and Justice Haynes being out is huge news for both teams. I mean, he was a guy who was a Heisman candidate. He gets hurt, and then Jordan Marshall's a little banged up. He's a Cincinnati guy. He's looking for revenge for this game, so that'll be fun to see. But yeah.
Yeah, for Michigan, are you looking out for anyone else potentially that could have a huge impact on this game?
I like that receiver, Andrew Marsh, the freshman. I think him and Underwood are starting to build a real connection. I think he had 12 catches for 160 yards against Northwestern last weekend. And I mean, Bryce Underwood, he's looked rough at times this year, but there have been times where he's really settled in, and when he stays in the pocket and has good protection, I think he can hurt you through the air, and he can do a little with his legs too. So Andrew Marsh is definitely a guy I would look out for. But with Ohio State's secondary, I'm not sure. I mean, we haven't seen a lot of big-time plays down the field this year led up by that secondary. So I think just containing him and McCauley and just some of these other Michigan receivers who tend to get loose downfield will be huge for Ohio State.
I would just say Michigan's offensive line as a whole. Just Ohio State's pass rush has really been able to get after opposing quarterbacks the past few games. Matt Patricia's definitely going to have a bunch of different schemes with blitz packages and stuff like that. So if Michigan's offensive line can contain Ohio State's pass rush, I mean, that sets them up not only in the run game but in the pass game as well. So.
Yeah, Michigan has arguably the youngest team in the country. How do you feel that a freshman such as Bryce Underwood should approach this game? And he's a true freshman starting against the Ohio State University. They aren't only the #1 team in the nation, but the history of this rivalry. What does that mean to him specifically?
Yeah, and I mean, Julian Saint's a freshman too. I mean, he's not a true freshman, but he got in at pretty much just garbage time last year. So this is kind of a new situation for both of them. And I think, being a freshman going in this game, I mean, I'm obviously not a player, I couldn't speak for them, but it's got to be just an immense amount of pressure, just from the buildup of what's happened in the last 4 years, and then just the overall rivalry itself. It's got to be insane pressure. So I would expect, both coaches to try to level their quarterbacks, maybe try to establish the run early. But the thing is, Julian Saint's first game was against Texas.
Right.
If you think about it, #1 Texas coming into Ohio State. So he's been in this big game environment before, but this is his first road game that's like a massive game. So both quarterbacks are young, so it'll be super interesting to see how they both fare.
Yeah, just adding on to that, I mean, Bryce Underwood, he hasn't really played in too many big games. I mean, obviously he played at Oklahoma, which they lost, and then at USC. But this time he's going to have over 100,000 people, behind him, supporting him in the big house. Whereas Saint and the Buckeyes are coming in and, looking to break that streak of losing 2 straight in Ann Arbor and 4 overall. So.
Yeah. All right. Quickly shifting over, let's talk about predictions. What do you guys think is going to happen in this game? Obviously, last year Ohio State came in as over 20-point favorites, and they ended up losing that game. So, what do we think could happen this year at the Big House?
Yeah, I believe Ohio State is 12.5-point favorites right now, which I'm gonna go a little under that. I will take Ohio State to win. I think if Jeremiah Smith and Carnell Tate play, or just Jeremiah Smith playing, I think Ohio State has a great shot to win. Michigan's pass defense has not been what it usually is. I'll take Ohio State. I don't know if Ohio State will score as many points as they usually do, so I'll go 27-21 prediction Ohio State.
Okay, yeah. Building off that, I think Michigan's defense will be able to contain Ohio State a little bit, but at the same time, I mean, Ohio State hasn't given up more than 16 points all year. So I'll go Ohio State 24, Michigan 13.
All right. Thank you guys very much for joining me today. That is Reilly, Cahill, and Jack Diwik. Appreciate you guys hopping on, talking about OSU Michigan, and we'll see how the game goes on Friday. Thank you guys very much for tuning in to Let's Talk Sports with Avi, episode 3, and we'll see you next time.